the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Afia Akoto Deputy Communication Director edema NPP amanyekuo no emere bi a etwam na ono na esan CEO edema Maslock na yebeka a mami etimi ene NDC MP a emere bi nso a etwam na oye former Deputy National Organizer ye papa Chief Hamilton Biney a meno kase de ono MP etimi ekokoware. That was in 2020 na aware no na enye asem kotwa nsem a etimi eba ho de because kamye say party mienu abon ani entimi enhia na baako etimi ekwa akoware enu nipa baako a omo nyina nso ewo high rank etimi edewo won party nim na enye asem kotwa nanso won mienu entimi entie obia ema won in 2020 finally one etimi eka won toma bom etimi eye awarefo na me no kasa ide Afia Koto etimi ede ababetu da se oni yewrachi Biney aware no a won etimi eware no hwiebe aware no etimi aba no awieye na enti na ye maame Afia Akoto etimi ede sa aware we etimi aba no awieye na yenko na yenkomu yenti asema maami otimi ede etu edwa ose Afia Koto disclosed that her marriage had ended as she was addressing NPP supporting in the Okankwe North constituency where she would be contesting to become the party parliamentary candidate for the 2024 general election. Inti maami etimi editu dwa wa bra otimi ehia delegate a won ewo Okankwe North constituency a ono ede atu dwa se oba bepre mrahye dibre no ebi ewo ho. She said that her opponents were trying to use her marriage with Chief Biney against her till they discovered that the marriage was no more. Akoto added that now her opponents are fabricating all kinds of lies against her, including her saying that they would sack the current executive of the party in the constituency. When I came at first, they were saying that how can we trust a person married to an NDC man? They didn't know that the marriage had ended. After hearing that the marriage has ended, they are trying to find something different against me. They are always looking for something new against me. But have you ever heard me saying something against them? He quizzed. Enti mami etimi ede atu edwa se kamye se aware no a ono etimi eware NDC amanyekuo ni nti no ene asem bia beba bia a eni kwanse de to ne so kra na de to ne so ene na awaye sei ene na awaye sei into first a obai no na bon enim se sa mami etimi eni Chief Biney ejai aware nti ene oditu dwa se ekwan be ne befa so etimi attrust obi a oye NPP ni a ono etimi akwakoware NDC ni na eno na etimi ema maame no ede ba betu mu wo bra na ono delegate etwetwe enkomo se executive ya omututu sa nsem we etimi edigu masum omu nyina enim de ekoso me ni Chief Biney a ono ye NDC amanyekuo ni no ye tonkwanta ya pai.
People had run out of the country. Some had died. Over 500 people had died without any cause, and up to now, some are even missing. You understand? And it's important that sometimes we recall the history that we have been through as a country, and that it's been a checkered, difficult history for the young people to understand where we come from. What has happened in the past, you cannot change, but you can learn useful lessons to guide your path going forward. And at the time, I mean, working in a public entity like Ghana Highway Authority, having the courage to be on national television.
How was that like? I mean, for you, we know that yes, your father was killed.
It was very tough.
Under 30 years.
Yes, it was very tough, but I was determined to do so. I mean, when my father died, I mean, I could have opted to the easier route, you know. Some of my siblings are still in the UK. They're British citizens. I would have been offered asylum. I said I wouldn't go. I would stay in Ghana. I wanted to be a sore thumb. So that it would be on the conscience of Ghanaians, and those heinous crimes that happened on June 30, 1982 never gets repeated in our country. So I was determined to do my widow's mite, to contribute my little to the struggle, the return to democracy.
Now, were you hounded? Were you haunted? Were you, you know...
In many...
ways? Or
subtle ways, because sometimes you're a public servant and you come and sit on national television. At that time, there was no Star FM. There was only Ghana Broadcasting. So you arrest the attention of all Ghanaians. And you deliver a party political broadcast and you try to prevail on Ghanaians not to vote for the sitting head of state, but vote for Professor Dubois.
That must have been difficult. How did you navigate that?
I was prepared, to sacrifice my life for the future of this country, most importantly, because I thought the things that happened, especially in the early days of the revolution, Ghanaians have forgotten because most of them are young now. I mean, those under 40 never saw it. You know, we lived under curfew for over 6 years, and that's when the nightlife, entertainment life, and the 24-hour economy disappeared because you had to go to bed at 6, and then it was moved to 8, then 9. You know, so especially the entertainment industry and the creative arts, they suffered the most. You understand? So I'm just trying to say that we need to revisit some of these things as a means to caution the younger generation that public service is exactly what it means. You go into it to serve the public and for the generality and the welfare of the Ghanaian people. Right now, the narrative, what do you hear from people? The mistrust. According to this Afrobarometer surveys, they think perhaps it's the easiest way to make some money. But that is wrong. That narrative has to change. And if it has to change, it is those of us in politics who have to lead that drive. So for me, right now, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to sanitize the political environment against all odds.
And you believe that is where we lost some of our values.
A lot of it. Respect for elders broke down. And now, I mean, because of the advent of social media, I mean, somebody can hide in their room and set up a TV station and put out the most atrocious of words, you know, which is very un-Ghanaian, insult our chiefs, our president. You can disagree with the president, but do so respectfully. We need to coach the younger generation to respect society. And I think it was all down to the breakdown in our educational system. When I was 12 years, I left Kumasi, as you said, primary school, went to Nsem-Pii.
Right.
And you spend 7 years there. You go and meet these thick guys who are the seniors in sixth form, some are 20 years, 18 years, 19 years. It doesn't matter which background you came from. And in my court, we had farmers' children, we had past ministers' children, businessmen's children. The boarding school system, which in my view the JSS system destroyed, really has hurt the country. Because you leave home early, whether you're a dadaba, you have a soft background like some of us fortunately had, early morning you are waking up at 5:30 by your prefects. You have to go and either clean the toilets, go and sweep, weed, do the things that you have to do, even lay your senior's bed before you lay your bed. So today at home, I do the laying of the bed.
Oh, you still lay the bed at home?
Much better than my wife at
Interesting to know.
Yes.
That you still lay the bed.
I do it. I mean, it's something that was taught us in Nsem-Pii school.
And Kobna, it's instructive to note that, I mean, you are saying that the breakdown in the educational system. Do you think that the change from 7 years to 3 years, GSS to SS system really has hit us?
It has hit us. Even it has hit the production of sporting talent. We'll get to that maybe some other day.
Yeah.
Because the academicals, the students, there was always a constant production line. Because you spend 7 years in school. In those days, by the time you finish the O-levels, you're about 18, you are almost a man. And that's when in those days they could pick you into the military, police service and all that. now, sometimes when they finish JSS, you don't know who they are. You can't really place them, you understand. And when you go into sixth form, you become a matured person, prefect in school like I was, library prefect in Nsem-Pii school, So by the time you get to university, you are really tough because they will discipline you. The bullying was sometimes over the board, but it toughened us.
Did you endorse that bullying?
No, I didn't, but in Nsem-Pii somewhere a bit too harsh.
Extreme.
But generally, when I see my senior, from 2 boy up to today, I have that reverence for them because they're my seniors. I mean, some of my prefects, when I see them, in town, some are a bit old now, but it's good because it builds a hierarchy of discipline. And that's what we lack in our country right now. Even the way we dress, the way we live. A lot of things in Ghana right now is not only the political problems or economic, more seriously the social problems that we are not dealing with, that nobody wants to talk about. And I'm very passionate about those things.
We'll get into that, but let's stay in Nsem-Pii, the school. So your motto is what? Jane Shekan?
Yeah, looking into the future.
Look into the future. Walk us through
Jane
Shekan in you remember your anthem? We'll give you 30 seconds to just sing that for us. We're putting you on the spot.
Don't put me on the spot.
But just a line or two, at least, yes.
So those things, and apart from that, I was one of those who was there when we had our centenary, 100 years in 1976. Wow. So our anthem is 832. For all the same from our labor's rest. So Methodist, I'm a Methodist men's fellowship.
Okay.
I'm not very good at singing though.
At least you tried.
I tried. So it teaches you a lot, and you learn a lot from your seniors, your masters, but of course it doesn't mean it was perfect. We were bad boys.
Oh really? You were a bad boy back in school. What was your nickname back at school?
I don't want to refer to
it. Oh no, what was it?
It's Kalahari, yeah? Kalahari Desert.
Why were you called Kalahari Desert? The origin of that name?
It's a secret between myself and 2 other classmates.
Really? I know somebody went to Boche and we'll get the reason why you are called Kalahari. But maybe you want to tell us because I'm getting a message. My producer, Francis Aban, is prompting me. But why that nickname Kalahari?
Oh, it had to do with geography class.
Okay.
And the Kalahari Desert in Namibia. But the other parts, I will leave it. I had a classmate called Brody Mans. He used to be an actor.
Max Brody Mans.
Max, yes.
Yeah.
We were in the same dormitory.
Okay.
And then Robert Daniels, yes.
So life at Kwabuchi back then, how was it like? When last did you visit the school?
Oh, not long ago. I think we were the ones who really hosted the speech day, I think 3 years ago, because we were a 79-year group. So I think that was 2019, and that was 40 years, I believe. You can't believe. And even this year, the next year, 74, will be 50 years since we went to Form 1. So we are planning a little bit of a homecoming, go back to Cape Coast, October 3rd.
How was life back then? Because you mentioned nightlife back in the 80s, just dwindling and all of that. But back then,
there was Cupid at the beach.
Cupid, tell us more.
Discotheque owned by Emil Short.
Justice Emil Short used to own a nightclub.
Yes. Cupid.
In Cape Coast.
Yes, there was Master Silas. There was Abiasi. And many others. And they would defy the school rules and sometimes vanish. And
so you used to break bounds
a bit. I mean, especially, and also even because of football. We'll run to Cape Coast to watch Kotoko and Dwarfs without exeat.
You were a bad boy.
Not exactly. I was a street guy. I mean, it all started in Kumasi.
Yeah.
We had a lot of close friends in Krofrom, if you know Krofrom.
Yeah.
And we would do all sorts of things. I mean,
it's surprising and interesting that a son of a judge, who many would say, oh, prim and proper, but you were
Kumasi, I mean, these guys, they walked us on the straight and narrow. I mean, they would come and whistle very early in the morning, especially on weekends, and then I would disappear from the house before we go to church. I'll go and watch soccer, Coles in those days, Subin Valley, Swami. I'm sorry, I just heard my great friend, Papa Akun, died. Former captain of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. May his soul rest in peace. He was a goalkeeper at the time, playing from Fabe Woso and Yen Krokro. So those are things. That's how I got to know Alaji Grusa.
Okay,
because he had a team called Abugas, And you know, Grusa and his gimmicks. They would come with a black charcoal here with cross, and then they'll be singing a bugas. You know, so
He's been at it from time immemorial.
that's how I knew him, you know, in those days. But I mean, going to Cape Coast, my father was tough. I mean, he would tell me. He also went to Nsem-Pii. You can imagine going from Oyoko Ashanti to Nsem-Pii without shoes in those days. That's what he told me.
Okay.
I mean, his parents were not. You know, he had to rely on a Methodist Church scholarship to go to Nsem-Pii school. And so when he was taking me there, I mean, you make a request for provisions and he'll break it into two and tell you that he never had even a grain of Gary.
Wow.
And never visited me for the first 5 years.
Your dad never visited you?
No, I didn't have
First
to
5 years in
No,
Nsem-Pii school?
Sixth form, he came there once. I think he was on a case in Cape Coast. He went to relieve a judge, and then he passed through twice.
How did you view that back then?
I was cool with it. I was very close with him, but he was tough, and he taught me a lot of things, to be modest, and he wasn't materialistic at all. You know. But when you're a kid, you tend to fight that because you ask yourself why your father hasn't got this and other colleagues have it, that kind of stuff. But as you grow up, you realize the beauty and the wisdom, what they stood for. And that's what worries me about the younger generation. They need to be mentored properly.
And that's one, big issue that we'll discuss as we move along. But back then at Nsem-Pii, so Kwabotre, your ladies will be Wesley girls. Oh, really?
Although a lot of us thought that the holy girls were a bit more nicer,
Oh, back then the holy girls were more nicer than Wege girls.
I don't want. My wife is from Wege. I don't want problems at home tonight.
Laurentia, she got you spellbound.
Yeah. I mean, that was love at first sight.
Oh, you and your wife was love at first sight.
Yes.
You moved from you met her when she was in Gay or back then in university.
I met her. I was going to visit her friend in Legon.
In Legon.
I think there was a strike at the time, so but she happened to be in the room, when I entered. And I just winked at the friend. I said, I think I will marry this lady.
Oh, you just said that? It was love at first sight.
They thought it was a joke, but it happened. And we've been married for what, 27, 20